What's up, people? How we doing today? It's your boy Mars, and we are on Greenwood here with your boy Flex, Ace, and Miss Ladybug. And we are streaming live on Mogul TV Global, YouTube, and Facebook. Coming at you hot. Coming at you hot. Now, we know it's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've been on here discussing on Greenwood, but that's okay. We got some cultural updates for you guys. It'll be the actual first time we say it, but we're going to be bringing you guys some cultural update episodes, and this is going to be the number one. So, without further ado, Flex, you start. Introduce yourselves. We'll roll to Miss Ladybug, and then we'll roll to Ace.
Okay, it's supposed to be ladies first, but I'll go ahead and lead this off. Y'all know me, Flex the producer.
That's part of the Oreos in the middle, man.
ain't in no dang middle, but we good on that. So, I want to welcome everybody. Y'all know the routine. Like, share the page, man. Tell your people about us. Our focus is giving you all a voice, so make sure that you're interacting with us. And let us know where you're watching from, and please participate in the discussion.
All right. Well, I'm Ladybug. It's been a minute since I've been on Greenwood The Podcast. Love this podcast. Just saw my girl Deb come in to have everybody tuning in tonight. I want to say thank you to everyone in the Mogul TV watching and streaming this. Thank you to all our friends and fans. And don't forget to like in to educate and motivate. I said what I said, and I love in relationship shows. But right now, today, we are talking about some of the most important things that are trending in your households, that are trending in your neighborhoods, and they're not just trending, they're happening. We want you to stay tuned. We've got some very interesting topics to talk about today. We'll segue into late and greats and what they brought to the community. We'll also can hold ourselves accountable in issues when we're out here in public living our lives. And it's so much packed into this episode. So we thank you guys for being. Hey, Ace is the newbie, so Ace came with it today. He came with his Kingdom outfit. Ace, bring it to us and let us know.
Well, what's going on, Ace? I'm new to the show ish. I'm new to the whole team. I'm happy to be here. I'm here to soak up knowledge, give some knowledge, give perspective, and just give a new dynamic to the team. So
appreciate you joining us.
Great. Tell everybody where we can follow each other before we get up into all these nice topics within the cultural update that we have, and Miss Ladybug explained some of those things. Where can we find you, Ace?
I'm on Instagram at Chambers Services LLC. I have my my website, my swimming website at chambersaquatics.com.
All right.
Nice. Of course, you can like and share, subscribe on the Floor is Yours podcast. Definitely get on over and download the Mogul TV app so we can get to it. So without further ado, we'll start with our first topic, and that'll be the park of Sesame Street up in Baltimore, and the characters that decided that they didn't want to make some Black Kids Day. Right. We have a couple videos to show you guys. Flex, we can put that up now so we can have some people take a look at that. But what is it? Displays just discussed that we've seen countless times for years to our community, and we're tired of seeing it. Right. And even to this day, they're doing it to the kids. They're doing it blatantly to these kids. Parents are upset, kids are upset, and when the kids can notice that there's a problem, there's absolutely a problem. So Flex, if you got that ready, go ahead and roll that.
Came forward after seeing this viral video last week, posted by the mother of one of these two girls, showing character Rosita high-fiving white park goers, then gesturing no to the two little black girls and walking away. That family has also hired an attorney. In response to that video, Sesame Place issued a statement saying they are committed to making this right, adding they will conduct training for our employees so they better understand, recognize, and deliver an inclusive, equitable, and entertaining experience to our guests. The Burns family says that instance was all too much like what they experienced during their trip to Sesame Place in June. The lawsuit filed Wednesday against SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment, the parent company of Sesame Place, alleges the park engages in pervasive and appalling race discrimination against children in the operation of Sesame Place, Philadelphia.
These are the characters that taught our children, that taught me, that taught all of us how to be a friend, how to love people.
It's terrible. It's terrible
Okay.
that we can consistently go through this same thing over and over and over at places that we spend money, at places that we want to feel comfortable, at places that we feel like, especially since we did the last one with I forget his name right now, but when his sons got apprehended and definitely taken advantage of at a water park. So we're spending money to these places to get disrespected, and it's just very disheartening.
Right. And here's the thing. So in the beginning, when this incident, put a side note in here really quickly, that the theme park said they reached out to the family. Initial theme park with the two little black girls waving, they said, no, they've never reached out to us. So park initially lied in the beginning, saying that they reached out to the family. Or is it that they don't know which black family they reached out to? So it's very commonplace that oftentimes I think that, are getting lost in the shuffle. And then when we actually bring our needs to the forefront, they aren't always. So we need to always continue to add pressure.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
yeah. And I just think about how it's a shared responsibility, and of course the community did their part in this. When you got the person that recorded the video, the victims came forward, but there's shared responsibility too with the employer and employee. And Ace could attest to this. In the military, we did this quarterly. We did training quarterly where it was aimed at preventing, bringing awareness to issues around discrimination. And too many times we keep hearing these same old statements that these companies, after the fact, they're responding to these issues saying we're providing training. And I'm like,
more training.
Yeah. And
what is more training anyways?
Yeah. And why wasn't it done? And maybe it was done in the beginning, but obviously it's not being effective if it's happening. And these people are so bold to continue to do it as if, and you see how blatant that act was. She walked right past those kids and literally waved her hand no. I mean, there is no misconstruing what the act meant. There's no misunderstanding. I mean, it was obvious. And that's my issue. Why is it that always afterwards they got these canned statements and now they're suing this theme park? Unfortunately, it takes that. You got to hit people's pockets before they make meaningful change.
So in my perspective, I feel like this is an ongoing thing, will continue to be an ongoing thing unless we start holding them accountable for it. So Sesame Street, we need to go to the source. Like, forget this theme park. We can go bigger. We can go to Sesame Street. And even if they settle or whatever, just know that we're going to do something, because history says that, people can get away with disrespecting us. Hence the anti-lynching bill just being passed. People can get away with stuff to us and nothing being done. People can disrespect us, harass us, assault us, kill us, and nothing be done about it. So it's only going to stop when we start holding them accountable for it. And if it takes whatever it takes, we have to do it.
Yeah. Because like as we see, it's over and over. There were two different characters that did it in two different videos of the families that came forward after. Whether or not it was the same person switching outfits or not, it's still ongoing. It's not like he was tired one day and was like, oh, today I'm gonna be my true self. He did it multiple times, and it's like Ace said, continuously happening unless we out them on what they're doing and continuously slay it. And I misspoke earlier; it's in Philadelphia, not Baltimore, but it really doesn't matter the area. Like I said, people are spending money. Miss Ladybug, you had something?
No, I know. I piggyback off of what you right, and I know that we're gonna talk about accountability later, but I think that a great way for hold people accountable is when we get out here and we're on social media and we want to say, hey, let's not do this for a day, that we actually stick to it. Of the message that
all of us,
we can get people involved, but we have to also around us accountable as well. So we have to make sure that we say, hey, in the day, to let this economy know that the Black dollar matters, then I need to make sure that I'm my friends accountable too. So that's what a lot of this responsible community needs to take place.
And that's perfect that you said that, because just like this happened, the bus boycotts in the 60s, when we boycotted Facebook and when we boycotted Black Friday and what have you, we're hitting the pocket. So now we have to. Now they're thinking, hey, we have to make this right. And so, but before that, it's hey, okay, whatever. We can't, please everybody or however they talk. But now it's pockets are hurting. We have to appease them. So that's a great point.
We saw that a lot during 2020. Netflix did it with our black collection. A lot of other streaming platforms did that part. Nike, we stand with you and all these different things. The black money matters, like Ladybug said, and the boycotts have to stick. Like just for one event, it hurts, but it has to stick. Like Gucci, we back rapping about Gucci, even though we tried to have that outing, especially when we were what do you say canceled. We canceled Gucci, and then Mayweather was out there promoting not canceling Gucci. He was like, I don't care. And then he proceeded to call us broke because we didn't want to shop at Gucci anymore. So that's the kind of stuff that our culture does when we're supposed to be showing that Black dollars matter. And that sucks, but stick with it, like Miss Ladybug said, or they will continue to disrespect us. Like as in this Dillard incident that we're going to be talking about next. So Miss Ladybug, if you wouldn't mind explaining the Dillard incident for the people so we can get on to the continuous disrespect of our culture.
So the Dillard incident, go ahead, Ace.
I want to say one more thing to caveat on what you said, Mars, the Black dollars. And that was one of my notes that I wanted to speak about, the Black dollars. We almost make up $1 trillion of the United States spending. Only 2% of that stays with us. And that's because of lack of representation and lack of assets. So if we have a place to take our money and take our people, and it's a great service, then we should try to find that versus keep on getting blatantly disrespected year in and year out. But I wanted to find a way to put that in there, and thank you, Morris.
No, you're right. Stick with the circulation of Black money.
Numbers always matter.
Always.
And so the numbers that you just brought to us, I need to talk about more, because we understand that the dollar matters, those numbers behind that dollar matter. So understanding that these corporations and these companies, we have to push strong and push hard and push often.
And not only with that, I did want to add this too. Not only with that, giving our money to Black folks, the services need to be the same as well. Because some people give. I've seen. Women have stories of going to a Black OBGYN and they're just treating them like crap. But you're like, I'm trying to spit. I looked you up. I looked for you, and you're treating us like crap no matter what our culture. And that's not fair too. So with giving Black money, we want to give, the proper Black service, to the best of our ability. Instead of just being like, well, Black folks going to come here, That's also a big part of that. And when I hold my business, Neurospace LLC, to the standard, is I want to give good service no matter if people are coming to me because I'm Black business or not.
That's right. Yeah. Right. That's right. That's right. And with that too, as a Black business, we need to make sure that we deliver. But that's another conversation.
Make sure we deliver.
So going to segue into this Dillard incident. So just a quick Black gentleman by the name of Kareem Muhammad went into a Dillard store, went into your son and his wife. And the son asked for a room, a changing. As the son is going into the changing room, they overhear a 20-year veteran of say fucking niggers. I'm sorry, I had to say that. And this language around small children and adults want to hear him. And so when the incident happened, we had the footage from the moment that happened. So Flex, you ready to kick that?
Was immediately terminated.
We're sorry he's fired. Okay, let's move on. I see it's 10.
Kareem says his son has been traumatized.
They think every white person is out to get him.
His wife also overheard the slur and is struggling as well. And Kareem admits, so is he.
I can't allow for my situation. I can't allow for my feelings and my emotions to overshadow them at this particular time. So I'm doing the best that I can to protect them, but the trauma.
Just as he did that day in Dillard's.
The best decision was at that moment was to just do what was right.
So we had the conversation that he had with the gentleman, because that's out there too. And in the conversation, front desk, and he says, look, you know, he's like, my son heard you, my wife heard you, these other, and he's like, you know, we are good people, we of great moral value. He's simple, we are kind, we are good citizens. He was like, so for us to come here, that, and so the gentleman's reaction was, oh well, I hurt my leg and I didn't. So we're doing this now. We're actually saying, and I didn't realize that you guys heard me. So that is your excuse for using that type of at your place of employment, first of all. So I think that of what we're listening to and hearing is people being more and more comfortable with the conversation of what they think Blackness is. And
not only more comfortable, Ladybug, it's that they're comfortable saying this in front of our offspring so that they can get it as well in their generation. That's the biggest part. In both of these two incidences with the characters and with this guy at Dillard's, is they're comfortable saying this in front of kids. You see what I'm saying? Which means they'll be comfortable doing anything else in front of kids. And the guy I was mentioning earlier that we interviewed was Lance Murray, because his name matters and his kids matter as well. This father in this Dillard's incident, he has to deal with his kids being traumatized as well, no matter what level it's on, because of his reaction to this dude's apparent knee injury that came with the N-word behind it. So I just don't understand how people can be so. Well, I do understand it, but I just don't understand how it keeps happening. And to come up with BS excuses as such, and a multitude of them, and then for them to possibly just end up with you being fired with pension, because you said he'd been there for 20 years or something. He probably got his money.
Years. So how many times has he done this in the last?
Oh, he's been saying it to children and their parents for years. I'm pretty sure this ain't the first time.
Yeah. So here's the just want to add some more context to the discussion too. So some part of the issue, and I don't know what the answer should be, but if the employee doesn't have to really worry about it because they get fired and they go to another job, what's the real consequence to their action? You know, the employee has all the money and they're going to cover and pay out a settlement or whatnot. But it's not just in this Dillard's situation. We hear about police who assault people in one district and they get rehired in a whole separate district with the same attitude. So that's, I think, a big part of it is that there's no real accountability. Oftentimes there's no real accountability for the perpetrator. Or for
I agree with that. Then we don't. But what would it look like for them to be in trouble? I mean, like in the military, I guess we would have like we got discharge codes. You know what I mean? So that maybe they don't get another job in service. You know what I mean? Maybe something like that. But there's not a lot of options. But I think that's actually a big one because I know in the military, if you get a discharge code, you can't work for the government. You can't get a police job. You can't do anything if you've done certain things. And I do agree that just getting fired is not enough. You guys got any other solutions?
Well, for me, well, first going back, brother Kareem should sue everybody he thinks has something to do with it. I don't care if it was the little boy with a sucker in his mouth that heard it. He needs to sue everybody that's in this store, and it fall on whatever the white man's name is. All of that's on him. But secondly, the accountability portion of it is so far fetched, but even the government doesn't honor us being taken care of the proper way, because he can say that his knee hurts and he said that, and there's nothing wrong when he just gets fired. Well, let's say it was aggravated assault, to say that word. You know how many people would train themselves not to use it anymore?
Light switch.
Let's say that it was a real penalty behind using that word. Well, if there's a hate crime done to Chinese people, Mexican people, transgender people, LGBTQ people, well, there's a price you have to pay behind it, and the government is making sure of it.
Hell is still paying that price for just words that he said. They're constant, but that struck a nerve. Yes, the accountability.
Yeah, and so if accountability is really going to be held, then we have to have allies, because we've been singing the same song for years and years and years. So, like Mar said, what does it actually look like? Well, somebody needs to actually feel their mistakes. Somebody actually has to feel their mistakes, whether it be financially or physically. But you saying that word that is traumatizing, that has done all of this stuff to our people for centuries, and nothing happens, he just gets fired because he works at Dillard's. He's gonna go to Macy's. He's gonna go to Marshall's. He's gonna go to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's just gonna go somewhere else. So,
absolutely.
Oops, I ain't said it.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem again, man. Our culture, how many times do you hear people throw up freedom of speech? And I don't want to throw my nose at that right or that privilege, if you will.
Because
my issue
is freedom of speech. These platforms exist for us. Do you reach that point to where you are limited to what you say and how it affects people? And I'm quickly going to throw it right now. They have a podcast host, and he's a really big host, on trial for saying that Sandy Hook that happened over 20 years ago was a hoax. And so because he's caused some form of duress. And so this man's corporation is, so he's upset and he's been fighting, and he said he truly thought Sandy Hook knew it wasn't a hoax. So yes, we should be responsible for the things that we say, and we should to say anything that would cause a person duress.
But look at the population that he offended, though, and how different it is. So I'm just gonna throw that out.
And what that population looks like. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things about it as well is, who do you disrespect? Because if you disrespect a police officer, the consequences are different. If you disrespect a judge, the consequences are different. I mean, that it shouldn't be that way. We are all human beings, but it's not that way. But so we know, like I said a little bit in there, is light switch. Even when I was in high school, I mean, if there was a real consequence for me cussing, coming home at the house, I would not do it. I'd do it in high school, but as soon as I hit that door, that light switch was off. You know what I mean? Because I was like, how am I able to just not form cuss words in my conversations at home? I mean, it just happens. You know what I mean? You understand when to do stuff. I mean, the thought itself, having even the thought of thinking that alone by yourself is trash. But I mean, that's fine. Do it alone. To be honest, do it alone, and you're committing a service for now. Anybody else got anything else with the Dillards or the characters before we head to our commercial break?
I'll just add one more, just again, more context on, some of these cases, well, not these specific cases, but in the past, the concept have been pushed all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they have deliberated and deliberated. When you make it, look at it from a political standpoint, now the Supreme Court is stacked to the right, and they talk a lot about freedom of speech, and it sounds right until you're the one being offended. And my thing is, you go to some of these other countries, and what you're all talking about is criminal. These issues are criminal in certain countries.
Like China.
Committed treason. It's basically treason.
But do we want
Even
that?
in Russia?
Yeah. So it's just something to think about. Again, I don't know that there's the one right answer, and of course we can't ask that.
And you know what? I don't think that there's a case by case situation, and so that's when you talk. That's when you actually society's morals are based on, and so we are a society that experiences a violent mass shooting, once every 2 weeks. So we're dealing with a society that is super low on moral. We're always
and emotional, very emotional.
Exactly. We were always trending that way, but with access to guns, and you add in acts, and then you add hate first, and then guns, and then somewhere down the line, I say countries have mental illness. I think you run into a portion where, again, accountability for what we say, accountability for how we reality for the companies we choose to do business with. So that goes back to pull together in a whole. Greenwood, the podcast, also as this podcast wants, we move in what's important inside the community so that we can help us have a better understanding of what our moral compass is during these issues.
Yeah,
but to give you food for thought.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to what G said, Flex, he said that it's the vote. Pay attention to the vote. Pay attention to political parties. Pay attention to what people are saying, because when you use your voice while other people are trying to use their platform, you got to pay attention, especially in this times like this where we have no idea who's running for which side right now. So, and those will swing our gun votes, our emotions, and all those things that's going on right now.
So for me, if you were to say, Ace, how could you fix this? If they asked me, if the government came to me and asked me to fix it, first I would start up Supreme Court. I would wipe everybody, they're done. You don't get to sit up there for 50 years. Like, no, because you got to understand the ideology of a person that was born in the 40s. Somebody that was born in the 30s. They're still looking at us like that. We're still property. So all you need is an excuse or a reason. Okay, they didn't mean it like that, because they have no sympathy for us.
I agree.
You have to fix. You have to fix it at the root of this problem. So secondly, you go to holding people accountable for it. People, like I said, I feel like it's aggravated assault, just like it would if you put a gun on somebody, because behind that word, something takes over, and we're not liable for whatever happens behind that word. And so we kill somebody, we hurt somebody.
We usually are.
We're held liable, but I'm saying in that instance, there's no limit to the passion that's going to be behind whatever action we take. So
definitely
the action, not the reaction, because we're always judged off our reaction, but never the action that caused it. The action has to be aggravated assault. Aggravated assault. Say that word to us is aggravated assault, because an instance happened. I have a little group that I'm in, ex-football players, and he said he was at work, and the janitor walked up and told him that the abortion thing was worse than slavery. And he was a Caucasian white guy in his 60s or 70s, walked up to him as a 6'7", 300-pound black guy and said slavery wasn't as bad as the abortion laws that just came. And how do you fix your mouth to say something to us like so insensitive, and he knows there's no repercussions, there's nothing gonna happen to him, and all he has to do is say that he didn't mean it like that. So, like I said, to bring everything to a head, we have to start at the Supreme Court and let it trickle down. And we need more representation, because if Miss Ladybug, if Flex, if Mars was in a position of power and somebody tried to vote against it, y'all wouldn't be going home that day, because y'all going to vote, against the predominant. So, like I said, we need more open line of communications, more avenues of communications, and more representations to fix this problem.
We need more leaders. We need better
proper leaders. Yeah.
We cannot let Floyd, what's his face, boxer, lead us. That is not a leader. I'm sorry.
Because he doesn't care.
He can't even read. He can knock me out for saying it, but he can't read.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, to bring it all in,
he can tell Gucci
we have to pay attention. We got to pay attention. We can't let our influencers or the people that we like to entertain us make political ideas for us, because we definitely got to go to these midterm elections. They're very important to talk about these Supreme people sitting in Supreme, for judges, for gun laws, for all of these things. But when we come back, we're gonna talk about some more accountability and what happens when you bring forth apologies after something that you've done to hurt the community. Flex, you got that commercial break. We'll be right back.
Your success ain't gonna happen overnight. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 10 years. For some people, it might take even longer than that. But one thing I do know, as long as you keep fighting and staying consistent, you will make it. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you gonna make it?
Creed. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You gotta be willing to go out and get it. You gotta dive in and go and get it. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water.
Hey.
That commercial always gets me hyped for the next segment. I don't know why. No matter what it is.
Step in the water.
You know what I like to see where it says trust in God. So no matter what, in that moment, you understand that there is a higher power out there. No matter how you pray or live your life, you got to be clean about it, and you have to, you have to keep pushing forward, build a better life. People
That's
look around again.
You got to be
accountability. Accountability.
So next we're gonna be talking about more accountability, especially in the Black community, our cultural differences that go on, everybody disrespecting us, every step we take, what happens when we decide we want to disrespect each other, and on a global scale where everybody is paying attention, much like the Oscars. So we're going to bring it to Will Smith and Chris Rock. So recently, within this past week, Will Smith finally came out with his own point of view of what went down, how he feels about it, and the stuff that's been happening since these past, I think it was 3 months since the Oscars and the slap heard around the world, as they call it. So basically, I'm gonna go ahead and just say what most of the stuff that was said. Will Smith comes in, he posts something roughly about 10 minutes long, apologizing to the world, apologizing to the Rock's the brother. He said that was one of his best friends, and as we know, he said he wouldn't have slapped him. So Will, being the bigger man and apologizing to him in there, he apologized to Chris's mother, because as most of us know, especially in the culture, that Chris Rock and Will Smith done a ton of things together. Right. They've done Shark Tale together. I think that's what it was called, Shark Tale, the cartoons together. Madagascar, I think possibly. They got quite a few different things that they've been doing, put on each other's since the start of it. They're both comedians. They're both in different realm in the entertainment business. But he was able to go in and say his side. He was very calm in it. He was very emotional. I don't think he cried, but he definitely hit home on some things. What do we think about this? How are we feeling about his apology and point of view, guys? What do we think?
Okay, I feel like the slap will think that every movement afterwards by both parties was very calculated. If you're dealing with proper PR, I think that one of the most important things that Will Smith came out and publicly made an apology. Chris Rock saw opportunity, as did his brother, because his brother immediately started doing stands, and Chris did the same thing. So they understood that there was a money grab involved. So I think that we don't hear from Chris Rock, he understands the more he can milk the situation. And Will Smith, being the entertainer that he is, he understands that for a position and where he is in Hollywood, it is better for him to spend less time, come out, do his damage control. I think personally that's rich folks' problems. Working it out amongst themselves. I feel like they experience a different level. And at least Will Smith does. I don't know about Chris Rock. He's great in his own right, but Will Smith definitely is experiencing life on what that looks like to him doesn't look like to us. And so I think that he did what he needed to do. Sincere. I watched him apologize. I think that regardless of what he said, because it was to prove something to Jada, not to. So I think that he didn't expect it to blow up as big as it did. He woke up that morning and chose violence.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, nobody thinks he woke up and chose violence, but about 2 weeks prior, he was on the red carpet and somebody disrespected him. You know, I mean, he's been taking a lot of crap. That was a very, very, I'd say a long overdue slap. You know, I mean, to anybody, to be honest.
Well, it probably wasn't a long overdue slap to back to 2019, and you look at what he said and the jokes that he made about Will and Jada and incident. But we all know that he wouldn't have said that to Jason. They were like, oh, he wouldn't have said that to Chris Rock. Wouldn't have done that to Jason Momoa. So he knew who he could pick on, and I think that Will, I'm tired of it, and so he did.
Of course. Yeah, and that's the thing about comedy. We talk about it. We grew up in it, and man, we all been to where we crack some of the harshest jokes out there, man. So if we want to be mature about it at the time, jokes make money, but then maybe it's time to have a conversation that when are we going too far? But when it comes to just a simple apology, I'll say this: we are the most forgiving people on this planet when it comes to forgiving others. When it comes to forgiving each other, is looked at as weakness. You better not cross me. And if you do, when I say apology or forgiveness, I'm not even saying like, hey, you have to absolutely receive an apology from someone. It's the way we move shows that we have moved past an offense. Especially when these things are in the news cycle. It's talked about for a couple of days, a week at the most, and then it's on to the next issue. So my point again is, I think they're making more out of it, if that's the right way to categorize it, because it's Chris Rock and Will Smith versus Chris Rock and Will Smith and some white comedian or something. I think it would be expected that he forgive him, and he would be praised for it. I believe that he would be praised for forgiving him.
I think that the apology is his first time actually formally apologizing. Hats off to him. I'm glad he did it. Just it's a formality. Chris Rock will never forgive him for that. Actually forgive him for that. I don't care what he says.
I think he might, with all them checks he's been getting for 3 months.
And that's what I was going to say. And I was going to say this, that
thank you.
I think that was a formality that had to be done. But for both of them, I don't know if y'all looked at the numbers. For both of them, their streams have increased times 10. Chris Rock's, all of his shows are sold out. So it's profitable. So why not milk this thing and keep it going as long as it possibly can? Because it's profitable for both of us. You know, like Will, all of what's his wife's name? Jada's all of her Red Table Talks have been like one of the most streamed podcasts in America, waiting on her to speak on it. So it's profitable for everybody in the circle. So why not milk it? So like I said, the apology, I mean, that was a formality to me because he's apologized before. So it was just a formal apology after he's gotten back into his correct mind, I'll say. But I think it's profitable, and it's just something to keep us distracted to me.
So should we slap somebody to get our numbers up?
So
I'll take that one for you.
Touched on correct mind, and I think that the mental side of this is dealing with some mental issues at the time Will Smith was. That's good. I commend you for that, because those are the underlying things that often get missed. That, you know, when Black men go through these type of traumas, you know, scale, you know, he's experienced a lot. So
yeah. And he's just human. But so the funny part is, you know, I think it's not too soon, so I can ask this question. Do we need to slap each other on this podcast to get some more views?
Hey, I'll take a slap. I will take a slap.
I can't say I'm mature enough to take a slap right in this moment of my life.
Hey, so shout out again to our viewers who's watching. I just want to address this question right here from Debbie J. She says, should we as Black people stop using the N-word? I believe in leading by example, even if we use it as endearment. And I got mixed feelings about that. But Ace, what do you think about this?
So in short, because I can talk about this all day, we should stop using it. I was raised by my grandmother. She was very, very hands-on and very active. And so a lot of people that I came in contact with were older than me by like 40 years. And I was talking to an older gentleman, and I was saying the word, you know, I'm drinking at the bar, and he was like, why do you keep saying it? And I said, it's just a term of endearment. You know, I grew up listening to Tupac. I grew up listening to NWA. I grew up, you know, and he's like, do you know that me and my generation, we died trying to get them to stop calling us that, and now we call each other that. I was like, where's the sense in that? And so it kind of strikes me different now. Do I say it? Yes, you know, but I try to reserve it as much as possible. See, I go back to, you know, my younger 20s when I say it, like when I'm upset or something like that. But just coming off the rip saying the N-word, absolutely not. I feel like we have to lead by example. If we want them to stop saying it, then we have to stop saying it. And is it a protected word? Yes, I feel like it's a protected word, but cut and dry. If you want somebody to stop saying it, I feel like we have to stop saying it too. Because, I mean, that's the reason why it's been so normalized, is because we say it in rap songs, we say it in poems, like we say it in everything. So it's normalized. So why can't I say it? You know, and if they didn't hear it in the first place, then they wouldn't even have thought about saying it.
How about this? I'd say this. Once something is either in the dictionary or made a word, slang or not, it's going to be continuously said. You can't say don't say it. As long as people have a tongue, as long as people have a mouth, people are going to say words. How we let them affect us is the issue, right? Now, I do disagree with other cultures saying the N-word. You know what I mean? I do agree wholeheartedly. Like you said earlier, Ace, we're not liable for what comes after. It's called a reaction, and especially since it's in our blood to react however. But there's a light switch. Like I said, if you want to say it at home, I don't mind that. Even white folks can say it at home. You know what I mean? That's what
I
do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. You never know. But you liable, because if that window's open, to get a punch coming through that window if somebody hear you. You
Just suffer the consequences, right?
I don't think you can tell somebody not to say it. Now, I do believe in, like I said, it's the same thing. I was in A school in the military to learn my job, and there was this white guy that was in, and he was from Jersey, let's just say. I don't really remember. And a little short guy, and he just kept saying, nigga, nigga, nigga. And I was like, I'm like, at that time, my father was going through a Facebook thing where he was saying, I'm gonna stop saying it. And I think I said it somewhere, and he kind of, checked me on it, and I respect him for it. But I was like starting to think about it because he checked me for it, and I'm thinking about kind of this same question. It's been, if you're black, you've heard this all your life. People are gonna ask you, are you done saying it? Are you done saying it? But he kept saying the N-word. He kept saying the N-word, and it was just in conversation. It wasn't like he was saying it to somebody. It was just in conversation, like term and endearment, or just in words. He was like, you can't tell me what. I said, can you please stop saying that? And I reserved my, I knew where I was. And I reserved my emotion. I said, can you please stop saying it? At least in front of me. He was like, you can't tell me what to say. I grew up on it. Everybody else was. And I said, you know what? Please stop saying it. And so during that time when I checked him, the whole time, I made sure that I was practicing on not saying the N-word. So, like I said, there's a light switch. For me, I think if you don't want other people to say it, don't blatantly say it around other people that you could be impressionable on. Is my kind of point of view on it.
Well, can I caveat on something really quick?
Yeah.
I feel like this, like you said, you can say what you want to say. The freedom of speech thing is a thing. It's a thing. Say what you want to say, but be ready to get a reward and a consequence for whatever you say.
Yep.
So if you say something good, get a high five. If you say something bad, get a slap. And if you keep that ideology in your head, I guarantee you won't say a lot of things that you want to say. And just like this Facebook video that went viral with the black actor, he said, if you want to say it so bad, just say it. Say it. You can say it.
I love that on the news. Yeah.
On the news.
Yes.
And so he never said it. And like I said, if you're that bold, just say it. Like, people get comfortable with us, and that's like the military. Like, we've served in the military. People try to see what they can get away with, and I've had that experience too. But I effectively lay hands on people that say that. I don't play like that. I do not play like that. And like I said, flex can kind of go into, I don't play like that. Like, even if I think you want to say it, like we can do whatever you want to do. But
effectively, that's the first time you're hearing that, man.
So if you say something stupid, something stupid is gonna happen to you. You say something good gonna happen to you. And for every action, there's a reaction. Yep. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to say this. I want to say
no.
Go ahead. I know a lot of women I hear a lot of women say, this, and so it, and I have seen in women amongst themselves, much like men share it amongst themselves, but amongst ourselves. I don't ever really see us calling one another that. Which, if you think about it, as for a woman, I've never went to my girlfriend and been like, some women do, but women tend to use the word bitch amongst each other. So there's that. But when I have caught myself being caught up in that moment, did you see what this did? So it came out, it comes out like that. I think that it has been thrown across the board. I think that it would be hard to pull it off the table, completely pull it off the table. I don't think that it would ever have unity. But I think that I don't think people should be allowed to say it. If you're not Black, I don't think that you should be allowed to say it in your home by yourself, because 20 years later, you're working at Dillon. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like there has to be a breaking point. So
there does.
Oh, the word honky is cracker.
Yeah, but nobody
That's
gets offended from
not the
honky.
case here because cracker is something to himself
They
because
don't
he
even get
cracked
offended from that.
exactly. So you can't change a word around that was yours and say that you are enslaving somebody else. It doesn't work like that. So I mean, I think that it should be, but I don't think that it would be. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't think of that. I do.
Well, if they say it at
So
home, if a tree falls in the woods and there's nobody there to hear it fall or see it fall, does it make noise? You know what I mean? It's that same kind of thing. I mean, it doesn't hurt anybody at the end of the day. And I just think you're right, because that person obviously has issues and will probably come later and say it. His true feelings will come out. You
right.
know what I mean? Eventually. So I think it's a different topic that people have tongues. It's not even just a law that we have freedom of speech. That's a human nature right. You know what I mean? Because we have a voice. That we should be able to say whatever we want. But as Ace alluded to, once again, whatever you say, you're liable for any kind of reaction, reward, or consequence. So, anybody else want to say anything on that? Somebody did. Well, real quick, somebody's question was, do you say it in the company of white folks? And like that's what I was getting back to was, if you don't want somebody else saying it, use your light switch or use your brain. So the word itself, and somebody told me that people cuss a lot. They don't really have a lot of, they're not articulate, right? So you don't have the right words to fit the spaces, right? So it's the same thing as saying the N-word. You don't have the right words to fit the spaces. If you practice on thinking before you speak, which I do sometimes, it kind of eliminates the word pretty quickly.
So
Yes.
so this
White friends, I don't use it around I don't use it around any of my friends, my Hispanic, some of my Indian friends. I don't use it around,
And that's just you being conscious and aware of what the feelings and the issues that can come across from using it. But Latanya Carlos, I think this is one of Morris's family members, says it is a matter of respect. We must respect ourselves before we can truly command respect from others. We can be the change agents by not using the word and educating others of the pain behind the N word. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about in other shows. When it comes to offending people, man, we just got this nonchalant attitude behind it, like, oh well, you just too sensitive. And we have a culture, we put more responsibility on the offended to be more professional, more forgiving, and more under control than the offender. And I hate that we do that in our society, right? Because again, it just gives the okay for people to go out and do whatever, and you just have to maintain and be professional and be strong and don't let it bother you. You know that old saying, words don't hurt. Yes, they do. So I think we just got to be mindful of that when we're interacting with each other.
And so just like Ms. Carlos said, and I agree with that 100%. We have to understand where that word comes from. It comes from a deep, dark place, and it was used as a device. Like, it was used to tear us apart. Like, that's what they called us when they were upset and angry and mad. And it was a very demonic word. And so none of the other words that are quote unquote offensive, that they didn't come from a place of that. It was a rebuttal. Most of them are rebuttals. They're not that actual word. And so that's the reason why I say we don't know what we're going to do after we hear that word from another race, is because I feel like our ancestors, that's in our DNA, just comes out, and we slap them or spaz out or do whatever we do to them, is because that word comes from a very, very dark place. And that's where the education comes from, because I guarantee even me as a 31-year-old, if I was taught what this word was at 8, 9, 10, it wouldn't be in my vocabulary at all. I mean, I would skip it, in songs and what have you, but I listened to more Tupac than I did, my uncles, or my uncles were saying it too. So like I said, the education piece, education is what fixes a lot of stuff, and that goes
Understanding
on to the next topic, what we have. So go ahead.
So, I mean, all in all, the respect factor is the biggest thing. And like you said, education fixes a lot of things, and one of those things is the way we speak. And if we have more words to articulate our emotions and our feelings and what's going on, then the disrespectful words kind of, go out the way, and then we can have better conversations. You know what I mean? So,
and I say this real quick before we move on for that. Sometimes we make it and I say this a lot about different topics. We make things an either or. I think I can be more patient, and people can not use that word. It don't have to be, either or. I think, and if I'm growing and being more mature and not responding in a not so right way. I would like to tell you that I wouldn't react in a bad way, but then I think about that song that say, "Try Jesus, but don't try me." So yeah, and, just on a serious note, though, again, we can ask people to not offend, and then at the same time, I do want to encourage us to not react in violent ways when possible. Sometimes you got to protect yourself, and I'm not telling you to go out and be this docile person and just let people treat you any kind of way. But when it's appropriate, because man, there's some scary people out there, man. Yeah, people out there carrying guns and stuff escalates, and we just gotta, just think about how out of control the situation can get.
I have a zero tolerance for that word.
Some people like that.
I have a zero tolerance for that word. Just because I was raised, and like I said, I was raised by an older woman that had been through some stuff. Like I said, I was raised in the city that killed Martin Luther King, so it's a little bit deeply rooted in me and my culture. And I talk to my kids all the time. I got 5 of them, and they're very well versed in Black history and Black culture. And that's one thing I would not discipline them at school if they slap the hell out of somebody for saying that word.
But see, that's the easy part. What about people that slap and then get slapped and then they shoot? You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is sometimes you got to consider that just as there's a reaction for them using it, that could be a reaction for you retaliating. And we just got to consider all that right there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's always been a tough subject. I mean, I'm sure slaves were having this same conversation.
That's true.
You know what I mean, years ago.
They would decide on whether or not they should revolt. And
Exactly. He said the N-word one more time now. So
exactly.
This like we said, we can talk about this over and over. Everybody has their opinions on it. Everybody likes to think they can use it or not use it. So the bigger thing is just respect. Follow the rules of respect. Educate yourself so maybe you can use better words. Different things like that probably definitely go best. But as we switch out of that, nobody more, especially during the time of his outburst and his fame and talent, showing his talents, getting his 11 all-time rings. We just lost Bill Russell within the culture recently in the past few days, which is a huge to the culture. He's definitely heard some discrimination in his time period. And then we also lost singer and actress Michelle Nicole. What'd you say, Ladybug?
I said he said some controversial things in this time period too.
He has. He said some controversial things for the NBA, for Black folks in general. He's held backlash for the things he said on both sides, from the white folks and from the Black folks. But all in all, he's one of the icons, the influencers that used his platform for his views, and we really don't get that a lot of times today. So that's one of the main reasons why we remember him and think about him and think about the things he's done, his achievements, and being the number 1 all-time leading winner with 11 rings is actually something that is very, very awesome that we can put on our team. Number 1, but number 2, just to say that somebody iconic and decided that they wanted to use that platform for something of his freedom of speech is actually, and to this day, the NBA says, shut up and dribble. You know what I mean? So things like that. And during his time, he was able to do that. Anybody got some? So thank you, by the way, Bill Russell. Anybody got something to say about Brother Bill Russell?
I want to say that's to caveat back on that. I think that what he's done is he did use a retirement to make his opinions and his voices be heard. Nor did any of those opinions of others. It may have made others angry, but he made his presence be known. And the fact that like rings in it all, I mean, he's made great accomplishments. He will always be remembered as a late and great, along with Kobe Bryant and a lot of the others that have passed away. I'm going to quickly hop on another recognize, and it is Nichelle Nichols. Nichelle Nichols was the first screen kiss on Star Trek with William Shatner. During that time, people say, well, why is she famous? Because she kissed a black man. During that time, it was a very taboo for black seen in any type of sexual situation with the white counterpart. Death threats, she received a lot, and she wanted to, and it almost ended her career. And came to light that, Martin Luther King was one of the people that told her, hey, people resonate with you. And so he understood people, like you said, people also tell actors, and they tell LeBron James and sports people to stay in their lane. This is a part of using their platform and their influence. So if he could reach out to her and she's recognized alongside Martin Luther King, those are the leaders that we are missing to this day, type of leadership. And so when we have it as a community, I think we're so quick to shoot it. To recognize her is to recognize that, she was a trailblazer. She was a trailblazer all around. So we definitely like to say big ups to Nichelle Nichols. She played on Star Trek. So rest in peace, Queen.
Another thing she did.
But Ace, before you go, well, go ahead, Ace. I'll do it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Another thing, going to pick coattail off what you were saying about Miss Nichelle. She volunteered for NASA, and she ended up starting a nonprofit in 1986. And she helped get the first black astronaut and up into the projects and into the NASA project programs. Yeah, NASA program. So she was definitely a trailblazer in trying to make sure we had a lot of representation in NASA too.
That's pretty good.
And just real quick too, because I know Ladybug got some fun for us, but I'll just say to the point that the original post that we made on this is that we're losing our pioneers, and I think we need to do a better job at preserving and telling our history in its truth. I think back to a few things that happened over the past few years. One particularly January the 6th, and I remember one of the congressmen, I don't remember his name, but the way he tried to categorize it as and downplay it, like, hey, if you didn't know any better, you would think it was just another day of people visiting the Capitol, on a tour, on a regular tour. And it's like, what? Like, dude, what the heck are you talking about? And then I think about Kellyanne Conway, who was one of Trump's senior advisors, when they was talking about, I don't remember what the issue is, but she came and said, hey, it's called alternative facts. Well, we know there's a long history of people reshaping the truth and telling it in a way that fits their narrative and better their situation, usually at our expense. And I just think it's nothing that we're going to hash out right now, but we can do a better job of preserving and telling our history and the truth, because it's important to know these things. So, and I know Ladybug and Ace, y'all both are big in history. So that's a show that we can have in the future, but just something that I want to make sure that is on all our minds, that we are doing what we can in that arena.
Yeah. Preserving that history, telling that history, educating, our culture as well as other cultures. We can't just, that's another thing. We think that we just have to educate other cultures as well, so that they don't remain ignorant as well, thinking that we weren't a part of the history of almost every culture over the centuries. But then also creating new pioneers by educating and planting seeds. And that's what I want to do with the things that I'm doing. We got cool stuff, community stuff, and on August 13th, for Vision Driven 757. That kind of stuff right there creates the pioneers when we're able to get the youth in one sitting, give them things, make them happy, as well as educate them on the histories. People like Bill Russell and Nichelle Coles, just being able to hear the things. I know when I got to talk to my grandpa, I talked to him today about some stuff that I'm doing. I'm holding a community event for humanitarians. It's the John Carlos Run for Humanity, because humanitarians like Bill Russell and John Carlos continuously have done things throughout their life. And as we have the flyer pulled up, we're hoping to move it to IC Norcom in downtown Portsmouth. It'll be on October 8th. And so pioneers like John Carlos and Bill Smith and Bill Russell have definitely been the staple, but they're not getting any younger. So we need to create these young people, get them out there to community events, get them their history, and starting to evolve in this generation so that we can start eliminating the emotions behind the N word, so that we won't even be talking about centuries old questions like, are we upset with them using the N word or using the N word? You know what I mean? So I know I just did a lot of product placement right there, shamelessly, but
Awesome.
it all works together. All of us working together, Ladybug and Ace going over the education, Flex creating platforms so that we can push that education and that knowledge and the cultural updates like we had today. Those things are very important, and we seem to miss those. We seem to miss the going to those things and talking about those things. And I'm smiling.
It's important
because this stuff makes me talking about
it's
that
important
stuff.
because people are doing these events, and I, not to sound so cliches and beat up on it, but I noticed the difference when it's 9 o'clock at night and alcohol and music. Man, we turn out in droves, but you do something in the middle of the day that's about educational stuff and empowering each other. And man,
And help.
We can do
Help.
both. Let's do both. Bring them
Right.
together. Is what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to do. Bring them together. Meet them where they at. Now the story's gonna be a little different when you come, but we can still party. We can still enjoy ourselves and spread, not the gospel, but spread ideas, spread seeds. Spread
Absolutely.
new offspring with education. All that love is support.
Absolutely.
But and you guys got some stuff. Shout out, the floor is yours. Anything else, you guys? Mobile TV. Shout out to you guys.
Ladybug got something.
Any parting thoughts?
We've got a few things that we want to make sure that everybody knows to like, comment, and subscribe. Tune in to our new podcast on the platform. We want to thank Ace for joining the platform. He is so. As we're coming to a close, I thought that it would be a great idea for us to either tell us about a hobby that you have not shared with community or the viewers, or give us something interesting about yourself that you feel like sharing. And Mars, since this is your show, we're going to start with you.
Oh Lord. Like I just said, one of my biggest hobbies is being able to show up in a community and show, presence. You know what I mean? Because people, they don't see people in the community. Like I said, consistently we have all this money around, but we're not using it into the proper ways. So me creating this new community event, the Run/Walk for the Humanity, is just being about humanity, talking to humanity, and spreading that word. That's one of my biggest, newest hobbies. Before, my hobbies were sports, but I'm getting old and I keep breaking myself. So making people's day is one of the biggest things. I got affirmation cards that I like going around, and I'll be doing it on my YouTube channel pretty soon, is seeing people's reactions to positive energy, positive stuff, instead of trying to make fun of them on the boardwalks and stuff like that. So that's my hobbies, is making people's day
cool.
now. My endorphins go crazy.
That's cool. All right. Good one. Okay, Ace.
So I guess it's my hobby, but my passion and my gift is teaching. I can pretty much teach anything, but what I'm passionate about is relationships. I mentor whoever will listen. I teach gun safety. I'm a teacher. I'm just an ordained teacher, I guess. But I talk to my kids. I'm an active father. I just enjoy being a mentor and a teacher. I think that's an underrated skill set, an underrated hobby that I have. I talk my children. I actively parent them. I'm an active husband. I'm just a very active and intentional person that I've just in my last 4 or 5 years of my life came into. So I would say my hobby is being a teacher, I guess. I like to teach. And so short story, I always somehow end up in predominantly white neighborhoods because they have the best houses. and on Juneteenth, like how everybody sets up stuff for Christmas and Thanksgiving, I set up my front yard, my driveway, everything was full of Juneteenth stuff, and we play music. And like I was in Nebraska last year for Juneteenth, year before last in Juneteenth, and I was next to a 72-year-old woman. We became best friends because I sit outside and listen to music in my garage. And she was like, "What is Juneteenth?" 72 years old, white woman.
Wow.
And I told her what Juneteenth was. I played her little slideshow my sister made. And she was astounded. Even if she was, faking the funk, I made sure to educate her what Juneteenth actually was. And that's a thing that I do like every year. Like I make it known that I'm the black person in the neighborhood. So to answer your question, my hobby that a lot of people don't know, I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher.
Critical race theory lives on.
Yep. Enlightening people. Yeah.
Yeah, I do it like I'm in the military. I'm an equal opportunity rep, and I make it my business to have those uncomfortable conversations with older white people, and just to educate them on what exactly our race is and what we contributed to, because we civilized Europe. But that's a whole nother topic. But go ahead. Yeah. That's my
we gave a lot to a lot of cultures.
Yes, we did.
Still doing it. Flex, what's your hobby?
Yeah. Okay. All right, what's your hobby, your passion, or tell us something that no one knows about you?
I can sing.
Hey.
I can sing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, listen. Hold on.
Give me something.
Yes, so just because for the sake of time, we don't have time to do that right now.
We're gonna get one.
But here's the thing, right?
I get the bass line.
Hey, but here's the thing, though. Hey, here's the thing, though. I ain't writing no albums. I ain't signing no record deals over here, though.
Hey, you never know.
And here's the thing. I sound the best in the shower, so that's why y'all probably.
God.
If we had a shower singer,
hey, speaking of singing, though, I'm gonna tell you who can really blow on, and she's on the podcast. That's Debbie J. Okay. That girl, she's in the audience listening right now. Yeah, we have to get Debbie J to blow. Debbie can
Y'all
sing.
need to do a duet. We're gonna get
let me switch that. She don't sing, she sang.
Wow.
Debbie J.
Look like she's trying to get you to sing on here.
Hey, she said, Mina White said, "Don't we all sing in the shower?" It's no acoustics when that voice bounce off that wall and go to the left and the echo get to going.
The water dropping.
I can do a lot of things, but singing is not mine. But this interesting how you slid out of that, Flex. Arcana.
Yeah.
That's interesting how you slid out of that. Hey, y'all, Flex's new name is Flex. No, I am the nickname queen. I giveth, okay, and I take
Flex Arcana.
Flex Arcana.
Hey,
yes, okay.
Mina White said we should record. We'll do that.
Out of the show. You're right, Mina. We should. You know what? We'll change the intro for the show, though. Flex.
Yeah, that'd be dope. We can do that.
Let's do it. He was like, yeah, sure. Okay, we got it. Okay, my hobby is that I paint. I personal art, and I created my own NFT, so no one spotted yet, and it's digital. I like to paint. I have some art around my house that I do myself. It's a great way for channel my energy if I've had a rough week or something. I am a little artist for a long time, so if y'all come in my house and see some scary stuff, my girlfriend, hey, listen, if you ever get a piece of art from me, you don't hide it in your garage and be like, "Oh, Angelia, get out." You're sitting on the walls.
You saying scary stuff, huh?
And my other passion is definitely being a great wife, a friend, a sister, and just reaching out and just and that's a passion. I make sure that the people that are in my tribe I care about and I'm there for. So
yeah. Mina says she's being humble. Her art is great. I've seen some of your artwork. You are a great artist. Yeah.
I'm for that art.
Hopefully one day
get me some of that art.
Basil. Yeah, those are
right,
my
so
trivia questions for
everybody
today. So I'm gonna kick it back to Mars. Sorry, Mars.
No, you good.
Run over
You
you
good.
tonight.
Hey, I love hearing all the things that we can contribute to the world and the universe. Trust me that. Don't stop. Don't stop. But let's know where we can follow you guys real quick. As you know, you can follow me, Mars, at neurospace.llc on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's neurospace.llc. And like I said, follow me. Ace, tell them what's yours again. You know, the Floor is Yours podcast, always. Mogul TV, download the app. Get carried away, Ace.
Mine is Chambers Services on Instagram, and chambersaquatics.com for all your swimming and aquatics needs.
Yes, sir. Lex.
Hey, so y'all know the Floor is Yours podcast. Follow us here, but I just want to give one little plug real quick. Some good information for y'all to take away. If you offend someone, apologize, but do it with a genuine, thoughtful apology. Focus more on just making sure you right your wrong and not trying to justify or even tell why you did it. If they ask you why you did it, even tread lightly on that, man, because that's the worst thing you can do. Yeah, I hurt you, but let me tell you why I did it. You know, it almost comes off as if you're justifying what you're doing. So, you know, that's something I think that we all can work on and get better at. And it makes it's that positive energy that just spreads and makes this a better world. So learn how to apologize.
Miss Ladybug.
Well, again, you can always reach me on see all the messages that come in. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and always reach out to Mogul Media. Always reach out to us for any interesting stories, our idea concepts, and new shows coming up. Stay tuned for our Educate Motivate out expat living in Belize. We'll be talking to people, talking about what it would be like to lose property. So stay tuned for all of our shows. We want to thank everybody again for our to us. Tune in to Mogul Media. Tune in to us on Facebook. Don't forget to add your, and we are always here. And I want to thank Mars for letting me come on today and be a part of this one for Greenwood the podcast. Mars, back to you.
Yes, I appreciate all of you guys, Ace, Flex, and Miss Ladybug. Thank you guys, the audience, for coming back in and bringing the wonderful questions, the wonderful views, the wonderful eyes and ears. We appreciate that. Come see us again on Greenwood. That has been again. We out.
They the Roy's new podcast, who want the smoke? Coming raw and uncut like who want this dope? Whatever you want, they for sure to cover the topic. From racial issues to fashion flies to cockpit. Y'all ain't never get it like this, cause they ain't never did it like this. We on our this the way the cookie crumbles for y'all. She gon' bring the inspiration to all. You know what's up with her. And then she'll here manifesting is a vision. And y'all gon' love TJ cause he the realest. From the heart of them all, they the start of it all. You looking for a holler and holler at your rod. The professor, nothing lesson, coming at you with the lessons. Get your edge if you knowin' what's good for you. They educated, but they still keep it hood for you. Won't need another, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, I'm on the floor is yours. If it come down to the floor is yours. Let me show you how I prove the floor is yours. 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 The floor is
Yeah, I thought I'd catch y'all off guard with that right there.
Yeah, I was ready.
Yeah,
Hey, bro, was bugging.
she started it off.
Yes.
All right, appreciate everybody. Have a good night.
No problem. I appreciate y'all. Y'all be safe.